Thank you for getting a new battery. This works much better now.
Great.
Pat was unable to get the minutes done because he has to prep. He's unable to be here, so he'll provide them at the next meeting. Thank you, Omar, for coming. Public speak, Chris. Anything other than nothing special?
Thank you.
The mayor's not here, although Jane could be the mayor, but she's not. Anybody doesn't know her, this is Jane Sakowitz, who is our personnel director, human resources director. She wants to change the name. I would like to jump right to Department of Public Works in Article 6 because Stan McCoy is here. He has recently been the chairman of the board, and he has some ideas. What I have presented to you is my thoughts as well as Melissa Zawatsky's thoughts. Have you had a chance to look at these, Stan?
Yes.
Why don't you give us what you think?
I'm good with what's here.
The establishment scope, it eliminates the tree warden, shade tree management, and pest control, but I thought an ordinance could change that. If you wanted to add any duties through ordinance. So I didn't think that was a problem. I did add to Melissa's language or by ordinance because we'll get to it, but I don't feel like the city council should eliminate its ability to have an ordinance capability. And that's 6.1. We'll get back to that later.
I think that that's appropriate, especially and give you an example of how we paint the crosswalks. There's currently a policy in place where it's 2 straight white lines, and somebody might say, we want to change it to, the grid system that we have at the main street profile. But according to what Mass requires us to do, and what the policy currently is, we only go by 2 straight white lines. So the city council can step in and say, okay, we're going to create an ordinance, and this is how we're going to do it from here on out. And give them the authority to do that. I think it's a good idea.
To maintain that, yeah, but we'll talk about that later. Does anybody have any thoughts on Melissa's language, where I have it in yellow? Basically, she reduces the language quite a bit. The red is what's eliminated up above in the current language. As I said, some of the scope was eliminated. This stuff about adoption of Home Rule Charter 1986, that seems archaic, isn't it? Stan, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't.
Okay.
Where are you?
If you read up above here,
Okay.
it has stuff about 1986.
Okay.
I don't feel we need that. Melissa researched this the last time she presented this, and this is the language she provided.
Okay. Yeah, I see what that is. And we ran into an issue this year where when the mayor came in, the janitorial staff of the buildings were under the mayor's office. They always been under the mayor's office, and I don't know if that was before the Home Rule Charter or before this charter came into effect. But the mayor decided to shift that over to the Department of Public Works, and we ran into a conflict there because the current charter says that can only be done by ordinance. So we're still in conflict with it now. We're trying to get that resolved. So one of my last things was, before I left the board last week, was to kind of hand it off to City Council and say, here, create this ordinance.
Which is 6.1, which is why we have that. So that we could
here's
create
the
an ordinance that
yeah.
reorganizes a department.
Right.
If an independent board like the Board of Public Works asks for that, then the City Council can act.
Right.
The mayor certainly can debate that, but if she wanted that, she could have provided an administrative code change too.
Right. But there was nothing in here to remedy that. It says it's done by ordinance. It doesn't say how the board is supposed to take care of that. So we took a vote as the board to send it off to the City Council to write the ordinance to take care of it. It's basically, crossing your T's and dotting your I's to make sure that it's done correctly according to the charter as it stands today. So by changing that language, that the mayor should just write the administrative code or the city council to do the ordinance.
Okay. All right. So 6.4, again, any other comments on that? We would be adopting the language from Melissa and adding my language, or by ordinance in accordance with section 6.1A, because I didn't want to, we'll get to it, but I don't want to eliminate 6.1A, which is 6 city council authority.
I don't mean to nitpick, but there was a typo. It says administrative code.
Where is it? Well, that's her. It's not me. I didn't do it.
Administrative.
So what is it? Administrative, right? Well, I can actually change it now because I got it up finally.
But this all seems generally streamlined. I agree that I don't love like referencing a home rule charter, because I like the idea that you should be able to open up the charter as a citizen with no understanding of prior charters and understand how your government is structured. So this seems streamlined to me.
And to go along those lines, I like if there's a mass general law that we should have.
Can I ask about that last sentence actually?
Okay.
Because I'm kind of confused about it. It doesn't seem to have
Which one are we talking? Additional powers?
additional powers, duties, and responsibilities with respect to public works related functions and activities as the city may from time to time provided by an administrative code in accordance with section 1B. There's a verb missing.
Yeah.
There's a verb, like additional powers
I think to be before provided.
may be.
Be provided by the administrative.
Up
code.
above, and the performance of such duties of any board or office as may be reasonably related.
I think,
Is that what's missing?
I think what it's supposed to say is additional powers, duties, and responsibilities with respect to public works related functions and activities as the
May be added.
May,
Yeah.
yeah, there needs to be some kind of
Yeah.
verb.
Take out
May-
both may.
okay. Yes, should it be
Yeah,
activities
maybe,
from time to time?
Maybe it may be assumed, maybe.
no, here it is. May from time to time be provided by administrative code.
Okay, but
Okay, is
even
that
that now reads weird. I mean, just
Okay, give me a new language.
okay. So it now says additional powers, duties, and responsibilities with respect to public works related functions and activities as the city may from time to time be provided by administrative. Like
Why
there's,
It needs a comma after activities.
Yeah. And after administrative code.
I don't think commas are gonna solve this.
Do you really need
problem.
time to time too? Could it just be may
Time
be
to time.
provided? And then,
As the
Yeah.
city may,
I thought it'd be as provided by administrative code.
what'd you say?
As provided by,
Maybe assigned from time to time as provided by administrative code.
I don't think you need time to time.
Maybe,
But there is, I agree, there's something like maybe added or maybe
okay.
assigned. It needs
So
to be.
out of respect for the goats, should we maybe like? I think we all get what this is supposed to say. Should we maybe
We'll go back to it.
return to that later?
All right, we're gonna go right back to that after
do you know
Stan.
about the ghost?
Policies.
His
I wanted to
ghosts are
read-
babies.
The big change under policy formation is changing the board to 5 members with the mayor as a voting member. I wanted to read to you what Robert Parent, who was one of our members, did write something because he couldn't be here. He was a director of public works and is an engineer right now in Holyoke. So he has a lot of thoughts on this. I'm not sure about the 5-member board, including the mayor. In theory, the board could overrule the mayor in a majority vote, but given that the mayor is always the appointing authority, it creates a dynamic by which the mayor could control the board either through appointments or through exerting influence on the members. It would be very hard for the board to overrule the mayor if the mayor had a strong opinion about something. I can't think of any examples in which a community has a mayoral appointed board that the mayor also sits on as a voting member. If they do exist, I'd be interested in learning more about how they function and if they truly operate as an independent board, or if they become a rubber stamp for the mayor. By giving the mayor both appointing authority and voting membership, the mayor is by far the strongest vote on the board, and thus diminishes the strength of the other votes. He's not sure of that. I actually thought that was a great point, and I want to throw this out. Make the council the appointing authority for the 4 members. There's a check and balance. The mayor's on the board, so there is that efficiency. And I want Stan to speak to this, because we talked about this a little bit. But if the council's the appointing authority, then that solves Bob's problem.
I'm not sure that I agree. I don't disagree with what he's saying. I'm not sure that I agree with it either.
Okay.
Now, the members of the Board of Public Works they're 3-year appointments. So essentially, you can be on the Board of Public Works and a new mayor comes in.
Mhm.
And even if that mayor appoints somebody, they only serves for a certain period of time, and the mayor only serves in that right now for 2 years. I don't know if it's going to be changed or not. So I'm not sure that if that's an issue. I'm advocating for having the mayor at the table. Whether or not the mayor is a voting member, I'm not sure. But what we're running into is when there's a state, like we just had something recently where the director said, asked the board members to reach out to the mayor and to the finance director for some money because our votes are really bad. And in order to do that, we each had to go set up appointments with each of them separately. And we would meet with the mayor because we can't collectively sit with the mayor as a group because we're in violation of open meeting laws when the 2 of us get together. So I think it's important for the mayor to be there because that way if there's a conflict, we can turn to the mayor and say, okay, well, why can't you give us this money? And I think it's important that she's at the table. Not she, but the mayor.
That's why I like the 5-member board, so 2 members could be assigned to go research something or ask the mayor something together and not be in violation.
So that's the only thing, though, is that if the mayor was a voting member on the board,
No,
then
she
the
would have a quorum
whole,
anyway.
the whole idea
Yeah.
that if,
That's a point.
if you said 2 people couldn't meet with the mayor, if the mayor was a member, then 2 people still couldn't meet with the mayor.
But in your example, Stan, was the director, when he made that request, was he just looking for additional support? Or did he make that request to the mayor as well?
He sent a letter to the mayor requesting funds, and then he asked
I
us
see,
to
okay.
advocate on the department's behalf
Yeah,
for the
okay, I
additional
understand.
funds, which is fine, but it becomes cumbersome for the board to do that, especially if they have to do it individually. So I'm not sure. It was a case like that where it would have been great if we could just at that moment turned to the mayor and said, why don't you give us more funds? So I don't know if it's necessary to have the mayor as a voting member on the board. There's some way to have the mayor.
Well, my problem is, if she's not a voting member, he, anybody, would not attend the meetings necessarily, because
Perhaps.
how do we write that in the charter? Must attend a meeting in which you have no vote.
Yeah.
I get Tom's point, but that just means that only 1 person can meet with the mayor, but 2 people can go out and research something, like go look at a road that is bad with the director and not be in violation of open meeting laws.
Right. But those are 2 different, I think those are 2 different issues. Number 1, I think definitely there needs to be more members on the board besides 3. And it should, clearly it should be an odd number, so we don't run into ties.
Well, it has to be 5.
Right,
Either
so
it's 5 with the
members.
mayor or 5.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, it could be 6 plus the mayor,
Right.
right? So it could be 7.
Well, if the mayor was non-voting,
If the mayor's a non-voting member.
Well, I'm
then-
saying 5 members is 5 voting members is what I was looking at, because it's hard to get people to
but
volunteer.
that, what I'm getting at is, if the mayor was a non-voting member, I guess,
And was she there?
Then we
Why
know
would
that,
she
and
come?
it was a
Why
5.
was she there?
Well, right.
well, I guess, no, I think the reason why she's there is to get her there. She doesn't need to, as mayor, she doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, no, but if you're a member of, like, she's a member of the school committee, she goes to those meetings. If you're a member of a board and you have a vote on them, she'll attend. And she liked the idea. My problem is, as Bob says, I don't think she should appoint the other members if she's gonna be a voting member. I like the check and balance of the city council doing that. We appoint the assessor for that reason, so we appoint the 4 members of the board. It doesn't solve the problem of people going to meet with the mayor, but I guess that's, to me, that's less of a concern than having
Yes.
5 members on the board. I don't know. I like her being there because of the efficiency that you were talking about, Stan. If there's a real discussion about how do we solve the roads, how do we get money, she's in the room.
Okay.
And if there's a disagreement, this is why I want the council there, if there's a disagreement, a strong disagreement between one member and the mayor, is he or she gonna open their mouths worried about, am I gonna be reappointed now? I mean,
But that can happen now. I can be.
that can happen now, but if the council is the appointing authority, that's not gonna happen. So that's what I was worrying about, if she's the voting member. I just don't think she'll come to meetings or be required to come, and I'm saying she, it could be anybody, if they're not, I mean, what do we put in the charter, the mayor must attend the meetings? I think you talked about that, right?
No,
Right.
I think your point, think of what makes the mayor go to city council other than the fact that she probably wants to communicate with you?
She's missed meetings.
Maybe in the charter too. I think it says the mayor
Yeah.
shall
Does
have,
it?
or at least it says it somewhere, the mayor shall, have a public, or mayor speak time. I thought.
I think
No.
it provides that we should give the mayor speak time, but I don't think it requires the mayor to be there.
You know, I think we
The
do
mayor doesn't show up
have, we
to
have
meetings.
subpoena power, we could require the mayor to attend a subcommittee
Or
meeting,
anyone
or anybody else, but, no, we can use that.
Yeah, no.
But-
Well, I think your solution, proposed solution of the city council appointing it is fine.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know if the mayor will, but I like it.
Well, I'll bring it up. I think one of the things Stan brought up that turned me around on sewer water rates and fees being approved by the city council, like if the Board of Public Works wants to raise the sewer rates, he brought up the point that that has to be decided non-politically, and the city council is a political organization, and that the Board of Public Works, being an independent organization, is making decisions based on the need of, you'll say better than I will, Stan, based on the need of
Is
the...
that up for consideration?
No, but
Okay.
I was gonna throw it in here, but I didn't. So, I don't wanna politicize the Board of Public Works by having the mayor be the appointing authority and be on the board. It puts the mayor in too much power.
And having the mayor and as a member of the board is not doing something similar?
No, because she's not appointing the other members.
Appointing authority is.
If she appointed the other
I know,
members,
but
there
she's
would
gonna
be
one
a
of the
hesitancy.
members. But she's gonna be one of the members.
Yeah, but she's one vote.
The mayor is a political position as well. So.
She has one connection to that. But be the chief administrative officer, the chief procurement officer, what Stan's getting at is it's hard to get things done. And
But the only thing.
she
that I
also
would,
expressed an interest in this very much. She likes that idea, so.
The only thing that I would, if we decide to go forward with the mayor being on the board, I would suggest that mine would be added that the mayor cannot be chair.
There you go. I would agree with that.
I don't think that should be even a consideration.
I feel like what we're deciding right now is how much independence the board and Department of Public Works have. Well, no, I mean, because right now, unless we change it, we have,
Three, but
3 members, appointed by the mayor, but also the head of Public Works is appointed once and by the mayor and not reappointed, right? So right now, the department is pretty independent, and we need to decide how much we want to maybe, decrease that for the sake of efficiency.
I think the director of public works is appointed by the board.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
appointed,
the board,
they are
sorry.
appointed by the board, but, for 3, but they're not reappointed.
Well, yeah, but we're looking at that next.
So that's the next thing.
So,
But-
So the question is, if we
we
agree
need to, I think we need to take a bigger view of this, I agree that, I think that that they should be reappointed, right? But when you add all that up, now we're adding more people on the board, are we in fact, by steps, making the Department of Public Works less independent than we perhaps want?
Well, the board, I didn't want to change the board's ability to appoint. They just do it every 3 years, not indefinitely.
Right, that's what,
But the board has that independence. The addition of the mayor does add a layer of politics to it, in the sense that she's a political appointment, but she's the only one, as long as the council's making the
I mean,
appointments.
I'm good with not, if it creates conflict with removing the mayor from the board and just having the 5 members. Because, you know, like the way that we resolve this issue is that, in my meeting with the mayor, I'm like, well, this is kind of silly, me going back and forth with you and the board. Let's have you come to the board, and she came to the board meeting. We invited her to the board meeting, which we could always do.
We could put it in
is
the
there
charter.
anything to preclude you guys from talking about exactly what you wanted to talk about
Yeah.
when she came?
No, as long, when she was there, we were.
Well, one of the.
Wait, Omar has his hand up. I wanted to get him and then
Yes,
Chris.
because I kind of want to move stuff first. Can we first see if we agree to move 3 members to 5 members?
I think we're all in agreement on that, aren't we?
And then we
We
can,
haven't
I mean,
asked.
we didn't ask anyone.
No, but I'm just,
Look, the
I'm
only-
hearing
the only 3 person I talked
consensus.
about that was you, me, and him.
All right.
And he's not part of the,
How many people then feel that 5 members is a good idea? Not whether the mayor's on it or not. I do. Anybody? Any members? How about Shane and Lucas? What do you think? Good?
I mean, that's.
All right, so we're at 5 members.
and now we should talk about if one of those members should be the mayor.
Well, this, historically, not presently, there was times when the Board of Public Works, as an independent body, was kind of thrown under the bus when the mayor said, well, that was their policy. That's their decision. The roads aren't being done because the Board of Public Works. But really,
If you put the mayor on the board, she can't do that.
exactly.
That's a good point.
There's a little bit of a shared responsibility. The present mayor is not necessarily throwing the board under the bus, but it was done previously.
I think that the two strains, unless I'm wrong, on the Board of Public Works are people want they want to spend money. They want the public wants people to the Board of Public Works to spend the money to fix the roads, and they don't want you to raise your taxes
Or fees.
or fees.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So having this essential dilemma,
But
I think
there
really
is-
necessitates independence in that board
Yes, and I agree with that.
because you have to make people mad sometimes.
Right, and I agree with that, and except for the part about the taxes, because the
Right,
board
you
cannot
don't-
do
sorry.
anything.
That was
She
the wrong
meant
word.
to say fees, I
Right.
think.
Yes,
and
that was the wrong word.
yes,
You're correct.
And just because I need to just go.
All right.
So I just want to talk on that point. Because I know there's some question of whether or not the board should be the ones in charge of raising fees, or if that should be left up to city council. I don't think it's a good idea at all for it to be left up to the city council. And the reason for that is, look outside of our roads. The funding for that comes from the mayor and city council. And according to best practices, we should be doing something with a road every 10 years, whether it's sealing cracks or, mill and fill or whatever we need to do. We need to be doing something with a road every 10 years. And we have 90 miles of road in Easthampton, and that means that we should be doing something with 9 miles of road every single year. Now, the funding that we're getting for those roads is woefully underfunded. We are able to keep up with, the Department of Public Works is able to keep up with roughly 2 miles of road a year for the past decade or 2 decades. And so now when you look around us, there is barely a single road that's up to par, that's really usable. However, the catch on that is that you can drive down a road that has potholes, you might get mad, and you might say, fix my road, and the town can say, well, yes, if we raise taxes, we can fix roads, and then people say, no, we don't want you to raise taxes. Well, then you're gonna have to drive slower and go around the potholes and do whatever, and people might be mad, it might be inconvenience, but they can live with it. That's not true with the water and sewer. Water and sewer, we didn't know the condition of our water and sewer until very recently with the Time Bond study. They did a 2-year study. They sent cameras to underneath the ground. It's something that we can't see. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's extremely old. It's made out of clay. It's collapsing, and it's collapsing kind of all at once. It's all giving way.
Yay.
We have pump stations that are so old that we can't get parts. People have to kind of rig it up. If we have a major weather incident, we're in really bad shape. And unlike the roads, if a water main collapses or a sewer main collapses, an entire neighborhood becomes uninhabitable. And so to be making those decisions by the city, I think would be a mistake if you left it up to an elected body. People that were afraid of raising rates or raising taxes in order to pay for those things, I think it would be detrimental to the safety and health of our community. Unlike the roads, we can kind of get around and make it happen. We can't do that with the water. There's fixes that have to be done. There's very hard decisions that have to be made right now, and we need people of a completely independent board that's willing to just, let it rush off their back.
Totally
and
sold
make
on
these
that.
decisions.
Totally sold. Well, it's another reason why I like the mayor on the board, because the mayor needs to hear these things, not secondhand, or not just from the director, but from the members of the board who are citizens. I know you have to go. We'll get back to this.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think of the director, a 3-year appointment, and the language that puts the evaluation and procedures of the city to the director designated by the personnel office. That comes directly from language we put in 2010 for our own assessor.
I think it's a really good idea. Right now, the charter only gives us, it basically says that the director, we hire the director and the director reports to us. But that's pretty much it. If anything goes wrong, there's no remedy in the charter for the board to do. Also, the board is not here. The board doesn't follow the director around to see if he's doing his job correctly. He gives us a report every couple of weeks that tells us the different things that he's working on, the status of the repairs and the access for to raise money. We have no idea if he's doing the job, that he's supposed to be doing. But that really needs to come under the human resources or personnel department to make sure that those things are happening, or under the executive. Whether that executive be the mayor or whether the executive be the city council, I'm not sure that type of the way that it's written right now works.
Well, you being the appointing authority, I want to make it clear that in conjunction with the Board of Public Works has to be a sentence in there where we have it for the principal assessor, since the city council appoints it. If there's an issue of personnel office issue with the principal assessor, they come to the council. The
Right,
personnel office
and
comes to
that's
the
what they-
council as the appointing authority to resolve it, and this language would keep them.
And that's what they
You would
should do.
still have the strength of the board over the director.
Over the director, but at least we'd have somebody coming to us and saying, here's this issue. We had an issue earlier this year that I'm not going to discuss, but that it was dealing with a personnel issue. And it was brought to my attention very early on in the year, and at that point it had already been resolved. Whether or not it was resolved correctly or not was completely out of my hands at that point, because the issue had been resolved. There wasn't an issue for the board to address.
Jane, I just have to interrupt you a second. Besides the director, all the other employees, they're city employees, so they have to follow human resource personnel office, right? So if there's an issue there, you bring it to the director's attention, or do you bring it to the board's attention?
To the director's attention.
And he disciplines or deals with it?
He disciplines.
Yeah, they all report to him.
Just like any of the other departments.
Department heads, it's the same for all the department heads. That's not unusual.
Correct.
Okay, good. I didn't know that. Okay.
But
So you like this?
Yes, this totally works, especially the 3-year appointment. My only, this is the first that I've read of this, so it may be here, I'm just not seeing it. I think at that 3-year, there should be some type of performance evaluation that's done by human resources, something that they can bring to the board, so the board knows what's going on.
Jane had an issue with that, and I wanted you to speak to that, because you mentioned that it's not done with the other department heads. How do the other department heads get evaluated? You don't evaluate anybody else.
The only example would be like the school, the superintendent.
Well, I brought that up, but that's a different
I know.
kettle of fish. It's not the same as all the other departments on, right, Jane? And it's not done like in Westfield. Do they have evaluation situations with department heads?
Department heads,
How about the Board of Health Director? How's that handled?
Again, that's another case of there's a board, so there's that layer between the city and the employee.
So, like what Stan's point is, does that board have any help in reviewing performance?
Of the health director.
The board can certainly ask for assistance. or
There's
input.
nothing spelled out though.
But
But it says here, and evaluation is dictated by the Board of Public Works. If the Board of Public Works wanted to set up an evaluation system, the language here allows it.
Okay.
And if we wanted to set up an evaluation system for the principal assessor or the auditor or the city clerk, we could do it. Generally, over the many years, we've had issues with the principal assessor, but they're brought to our attention, then we deal with it. We don't evaluate every 3 years or every year. And I don't recommend doing that unless you go to executive session and you deal with it as a board. So there is language here that if you really feel like, if the board really felt like it had to have more control, you could add that. Does that work for you? Because this is straight from the principal assessor, Jane. I wrote this. Works appointment and evaluation is directed by the Board of Public Works.
right, if the board were to ask me to do an evaluation of the director, I would take into account, I would sit down with the mayor, I'd sit down with the board, I'd sit down with the supervisor, the
Board of Public Works?
and get input, it wouldn't just be me doing the evaluation, if they ask me to provide information, that's how I would do it.
Okay.
Which could happen every 3 years. You're about to reappoint the person,
It'd be up
whoever it
to the
is,
board to do that.
and if you really felt you needed it,
I'm good with that. At least it's something in place, or right now there's nothing.
okay. Okay, so you gotta go to goats?
I do. She's like right here looking at this on the
They're about to give birth. I'm sorry, joking.
Yeah. So is there anything else?
Well, we're gonna go back over these things again. We're gonna start debating whether the mayor should be on the 5th, and then talk about the director. But we wanted to hear from you, so.
Yeah, I don't think that it's absolutely essential for the mayor to be on, but it would be, there's many times over the past 3 years that I wished that she was sitting there so I could ask her a question.
If you don't mandate her attendance, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
That's me, but I don't know, what do you think?
I really liked your idea. I think it's great to have her on the board, but is no longer the reporting authority. I like that.
I think that's a decent trade-off. I mean, if it wasn't 4 other members, I mean, it is true that like bringing the mayor in inherently introduces some level of politics, but it introduces some level of politics to 20% of the votes.
What I like-
the other thing about it is it also means that 20% of the votes are coming from the person who writes the budget.
Yes, and that she's getting to hear the budget and can't say anymore, oh, the roads, that's the Board of Public Works problem, it's not mine. If that was stated in the past, and I know it was,
And I would press home that she shouldn't be chairing her.
well, that's not a bad idea.
What's the
right?
meeting frequency?
It's twice a month.
Shane, what's this?
If they usually go by.
Just an idea, like you could maybe have like an even number of people on the council, like 4 or 6, and then we have the mayor be like a tiebreaker to the vote.
You can only vote on tie-breaking that.
Well, it's like our city council, the president is on every committee, but only votes if there's a tie.
Yeah, something like that.
But, I don't know. I like the fact, being a voting member gives her
Like incentive.
the feeling of being needed and being there, and I like the efficiency. If you gotta talk about money for the roads, she's right in the room.
Yeah.
And she could explain herself to the whole board why she can't give you this money now,
Well,
and they could advocate directly to her, instead of one person, the chair, going to the, but if she's not mandated to be in the room, she's not gonna come to every meeting. I mean, it's Jane.
I think that her attendance at the meeting would also bring in the knowledge that's kind of lacking on the board as far as what the other fees that the town is charging the citizens. through taxes. That's not something that the board really is aware of.
That's right.
I
And
kind of wonder if they should be, right? Your job is to maintain this, you know, the roads and the sewers and the water, and you need to charge what that costs, and you shouldn't
Right.
be worrying about, you know, whether, you know, the
whether or not it's
The other rate.
affordable, I think that's unavoidable. And I think we already looked at that. We
I mean,
did that
do you really want someone in the room looking at you and going, well, you know, the new school's going in and everyone's taxes are going up, so I just can't.
But she says the same thing like that, Sarah, at the school committee meetings. She's on the school committee, and they're advocating for money with her in the room, and she has to say why she can't do it. And I think, but what's good about that, which I like about her being on the school committee, is she hears the needs of education, and they're allowed to advocate directly to her. And I like the Board of Public Works. It's still independent, but they get to advocate right to the mayor.
It does seem like a kind of comparable institution in a lot of ways.
It is.
But she also, or the mayor at those, at the school committee meetings also learns about other things. Just, it's not just there for budget reasons. You know, learns about school policies, you know,
Exactly.
through the course of the meeting.
Right.
And that would be the same with Board of Public Works. They would learn, they would get a little bit more hands-on knowledge of, you know, clay pipes and such.
Yeah, and mayors are political bodies. They may have some knowledge of public works, but
Yeah.
by being on the board, they get educated to it. And that education leads to, you know, I really have to give them more money this year. And I
Sarah,
think it's,
I wouldn't want to dismiss what you're saying, but we do, I still say we, on the board, we do definitely look at that. We did that on a recent vote when we were asked to put out a 5-year budget. We approved the first year because it was coming out of the general fund, it wasn't going to raise anything. And then the rest of it really wasn't spelled out how it was going to affect the ratepayers. It just said, can you give us, you know, 750 this year, $1 million the next year, and then $1 million the next year. Quite a big increase. Without, it didn't have it didn't give us anything on how it was going to impact the ratepayers. So we sent it back. We said, no, we want to know exactly down to the penny, you know, what the rates are going to be, how this is going to impact everybody. And it was due in large part to we knew that the school vote had just passed. We know that the taxes are going up. And so we understanding what's affordable to our fellow citizens, because all board members are citizens, I think is important. And having the mayor in the room saying, hey, this is happening, you know, at city council, I don't think it would, I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly going to change the members' votes, but it certainly would take into consideration.
well, and she gets to advocate too for,
Yes.
so I think it's a good, but if we're going to do it, I'm absolutely convinced that the city council has to appoint the other member.
I agree.
That maintains a major independence that we need. And even I brought that up to Bob because I liked his point. He thought that was great too.
That's a question, Jane, I see that, I remember just from Stan that the board is one of the few boards that actually get paid. Now, I don't think they get $25 a month, so I don't see that being a budget buster, but do you know, is it an MGL or how is that board paid? Why it's paid, do you ever know?
Well, we get to set those fees every year.
No, they get $25 a month on being on the board.
Yeah, I know. The finance committee we get to decide those fee changes.
No, not a fee. He gets $25
Stipend.
a month for being on the
stipend,
board.
just
No
like-
other board, I don't think any other board in the city has that.
Yeah, the Board of Assessors gets money.
Oh, okay.
There's a few boards that get a little bit.
But that's all done by ordinance?
It's done by, the stipend fees are set, if you look at council authority, by the city council. In fact, it's designated, I always do this as chair, at the beginning of the term, we have to look at everybody's fees. And I send a little note out, does the Board of Public Works want more money? And they say no. And, you know, they don't want more money, we then tend not to give them more money.
They should say yes. How long? The meetings actually aren't that long. The meetings we're usually out of there if there's nothing going on in 15 minutes. If there's, you know, we're with it, you know, tearing apart a budget, it can be quite a while. But most of the stuff happens outside of the meetings. There's a huge learning curve coming out of the Board of Public Works. And I know that I spent my first year and a half, reading, going to meetings, going to seminars, figure out how all this stuff works, because you have to vote based on that information. So the $25 for the 5 minutes that you spend in the meeting, I don't.
No, that's not what I was wondering. I was wondering if 5 is too little, 5 members.
Well, you know, we have such a hard time getting people to be on boards. You increasingly get more than that. And you almost want that person to have some expertise, even if it's an auxiliary expertise.
Yeah, like the person that's replacing me, that I'm really relieved, is an engineer who is well versed in stormwater. I think it's fantastic.
Kind of like a dream candidate right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob Parrott wants to be on it if an opening comes up, and he's a director of public works, was one, so that's good.
But when I applied for it, it was because somebody sought me out. They had been vacant for 3 months. They weren't able to find people that would step up and serve on this board. It could be kind of, it's not a warm, fuzzy board.
Well, you're gonna raise people's rates.
Yeah.
They're gonna get crap.
Yeah, ZBA.
So it's, but with that,
Go to your goat state.
I'm gonna just getting up and moving. We have to.
All right,
We await the blessed news.
Going backwards, how do we feel then? The Director of Public Works, it sounds like, let's go through the room, members. Who's okay with the 3-year appointment and the
Why don't
language?
we make it official? We'll make some motions.
I just want to see if anybody else wants to discuss anything before we do it.
Well, there's
So we can
a
discuss the
discussion
motion.
after the motion.
Okay, somebody make a motion to accept 643 to begin. Is it 6-4?
Are we working backwards?
Yeah, because that's where we ended, and
643 as amended, I will make that motion.
the only thing I would add is the word personnel may be changed later if we go to human resources, which is Jane's hope that this charter review when we get to that section.
If we do that, let's just make a charter-wide, like, blanket.
Yeah, and we'll do another thing like we did precinct and district.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Second.
We need a second, I think.
Okay,
Everyone's second.
so Tom made the motion, Omar seconded. Further discussion. Anybody worried about, I guess I'm not. The evaluation is dictated by the Board of Public Works. That seems like
I
it's
think
appropriate.
evaluation is responsible.
It is.
Everyone else gets evaluated.
Right,
Bosses
and-
should get evaluated too.
Especially given the enormity of this task. I mean, it's just, like, right, this is something that sort of was brought up last time. We have all of this authority to write ordinances, to sort of add responsibilities onto the Board of Public Works. But the director, if not evaluated, and if there's no term limit, can just say, that's a nice ordinance, I'm not gonna do it. And then it's just
Well,
gonna.
everybody's had a crazy boss that snows
Well,
everybody
you
and
know,
doesn't do what they're
and
supposed
look
to
to
do.
the future.
You know, we should be able to do it.
I know an example in a private institution where a business manager came in and had every pedigree award, and in 6 months, it was apparent to everybody that a bad decision was made.
Mhm.
Obviously, they went through a process and it was changed. So, going forward, you have to have that evaluation, because something, right now we're comfortable, but we might not be in the future.
Everybody gets.
I don't know why an indefinite term was decided by the founders of our city. That sounds wrong to me. Every other department head has a 3-year term. So this is consistent. And to be honest with you, this is not saying that Joe, we don't think you're doing a good job. It's
Right.
not about Joe. It's
No, right.
about 3 years making it consistent.
Right.
I just wanted to say that on the record.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's understood, yeah.
All right, so any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and 6-0. All right, let's go up to membership on the board. I'm inclined to really want the mayor on the board, but with the council being the appointing authority. That's where I'm at.
So moved.
No, I'd have to make it a motion.
I did. Why?
You want to
Yeah,
move
why
it?
not? Yeah.
All right, Joe's making a motion. David's making a motion. Joe is seconding.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Further discussion.
Wait.
We need some language.
That's okay. That's fine.
So, here's the language that I've got, just based on this. Policies for the Department of Public Works shall be established by the Board of Public Works, which shall consist of
The?
5
Not the?
Oh, well, no,
I
it is
think
by
not.
a board of public works, which shall consist of 5 members, one of which shall be the mayor. And then we need to put a sentence in here, the
This-
mayor shall not be the chair.
Let's do that later. Let's say the city council shall appoint
And then, okay.
4 persons appointed for terms of 3 years, each so arranged, so they stagger, that's what that is.
So instead of mayor in the next sentence, you want city council?
The Board of Works acting through the mayor shall, that was one thing that I wanted to ask about. I think acting through the city council, or do we need that now that we've put the evaluation in the next sentence?
Acting through the city clerk where?
We don't need acting through the mayor. I don't see why we
I
need that.
think
If the
that-
mayor's gonna be on the board, why do we need that?
I think that we need to address the second sentence before we move to the third sentence.
Okay, the city council shall
appoint
4
persons appointed to terms of, so we need to change that from mayor to city council.
I did that
For
already.
terms of 3 years, each term. Okay.
Guys,
So
I've got some bad news.
All right.
Just mathematically, you can't have 4 people appointed to 3-member terms that are staggered so that 1 member expires each year.
Tom,
I was waiting for that.
math is the most terrible.
Math is the worst. Okay.
So how do we do this?
Well, you could do it 2 ways. You could, I mean, if you had 4 members, you could have it so that you appoint 1 every 6 months for,
Sounds
or
cumbersome.
for 2-year terms. Or, I mean, like, there's ways to do it. I'm just saying, if you've got annual cycles, you could have them be 4-year terms, you could, and then that would work. I mean, like, yeah, we could
You could
appoint
get
1
to
every
two.
8 months. You could do
2-year terms too.
I think 2 years might be more realistic.
Well, is the reason that this is a 3-year term right now because they want more consistency?
They didn't want people all leaving at once.
Yeah, well, I know that, but a lot of, you know, everyone is elected to 2
Oh, Tom.
I don't just.
Your mathematics always throws us off.
I didn't invent the math, Dan.
But you brought it up.
We'd either, right, so.
We gotta figure that out. You're
Okay.
totally right.
Yeah.
So the question is, you want to go, I mean, should we say you want to go to 2 to 4? I mean, is that the question?
If you could.
What if you go to 4 years?
If you went to 4-year terms, then it'd be fine. You'd appoint 1 every year.
Yeah, but someone can always leave, someone can always resign. It's
It
not like that.
doesn't necessarily mandate that you serve 4 years if you
And
resign.
then if you get a good one, you could keep them for longer.
What do you think, 4 years?
Are there 2-term limit? Is there a limit of 2 terms for this?
There's no limit. We don't give limits to people who are
Death
volunteering
limits,
to
yeah.
want to be on a very difficult board. They want to be on forever. Like Duda, he was on forever, wasn't he, I think? So 4-year terms. Let me write it in my thing here. Appointed for 4 years.
Bad news.
That's some bad news. I thought you were going to tell me that.
Okay.
Get some bad news. It's called math. I knew math was a bad thing. I mean, we don't do
Now,
that.
how does that work going forward? We adopt this, then how do you?
Oh,
implement-
yeah,
I-
you gotta figure out, you gotta have a transitional
Article
clause.
9 has to be written.
Just appoint someone every year. Just keep doing it. It works. It works.
Yes, whenever you have an appointment, if they're filling in, like Stan left in the middle of his term, did he? Or at the end of his term?
I don't know.
Well, let's just say that if he leave at the middle of a term, they only get the remainder of that term. So, this only comes into play, in my mind, when somebody resigns and a new person comes in. They get a 4-year term if this charter.
That would
says
help
so.
us. That would, I'm just thinking, what if they all quit January 1st?
Well, that can happen
That can
now.
happen anytime.
No, all I'm just saying is, so which person, so I'm gonna be on a board of public works, Omar's gonna be on, which one gets the first appointment, which one gets the second appointment?
Yeah, we're gonna have to write some sort of transitional clause for this, and it's
Yeah.
gonna take me a second to think of the right way to do it, because,
You're the
Tom, you're assigned to Article
Okay.
9, transitional. I have something into the city attorney wondering, because of the ranked choice voting, whether or not we needed the rest of Article 9, and he's gonna tell us. If we eliminate that, we could start over with transitional clauses wherever we change things.
because, right, so if the people who are currently, like, they come on deck and their next term
Right.
is a 4-year term, then the next time we're gonna appoint a new
Well, that
person.
might help answer it, though. We don't know we don't know the makeup of the terms right now. You know, 'cause there's 3 people, we don't know.
If it's 3 people, 3-year terms, I think.
They're all,
somebody's every year.
but they're all the same?
Yeah, right now, there are 3 people with 3-year terms, which means that every December, we appoint 1 person. And,
I see, I
right?
see.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that like each of these people will come up, will gradually move to 4-year terms.
Oh, but that-
The problem is that we'll have the incumbent, the next 3 years, we'll have 3 incumbents.
Yeah,
come
but
up.
since it's that way though, it won't be too hard to transition, because you could just say, going forward, that the person's term expired, his next term, or her next term will be 4 years.
Well, yeah.
Right, so provided that the person, the additional person
Right, that's
that
right.
joins is given, yeah, there's a way to, yeah, it's possible. to
I
do
don't
it.
know as you need a transition clause, because if someone, this next, let's say, if this is in place this January, 2020, at the end of 2020, someone's gonna be reappointed.
Mhm.
That person is the first person to get a 4-year term. Because, well, no, that'll be the second person, because someone has to be appointed.
Right.
Because there's only 3 members.
I think Tom can solve this problem.
Think about it, Tom, anyway. I'm not sure, if we do it, let's keep it simple. Jane?
You don't, for the person coming in, the first term does not have to be 4 years. We can, it's like my.
Transition, we have to put that in there, though.
Right, but for my first appointment, it's like 2 years and 8 months or something like that. I don't know.
But that's because you're taking over for somebody who already had been
Right,
appointed.
but what I'm saying is, there are a lot of appointments that come through that are not full 3-year appointments or whatever appointments. You could, on that first person in, to get it in the proper rotation, you can just appoint, you can just say, this is what the first term will be.
Well, then that has to be in the article.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. So you have to do some math, Tom. That's your homework.
Yeah, I think it works if the new person serves 1 3-year term and then goes to serving 4-year terms, because it means that they'll end their term once the 3 incumbents or their replacements have already been appointed to 4-year terms.
That makes sense. At the moment.
Okay, well, would you mind?
I'm sure.
Article
No,
nine?
nope.
No,
I
it
can-
has to be.
no, I think
So-
first time is a 3-year term, then yeah.
I think, okay, I'm gonna
works.
stop now. Stop. Okay, I'm important right now. Tom will figure
All
it out.
right, Tom will figure out the math. We are going to 4 years. And the last line shall be determined to be water commissioners. Let's do it earlier. Tom's idea, the mayor cannot be the chair of the committee. Where do we put that?
Okay, I've got an idea.
We're amending it still.
Yeah, I have an idea.
Mhm.
So where it says right here, the first sentence that says the
5 members.
5 members, 1 of which is the mayor, let's put a period after 5 members
Mhm.
and make a second sentence that says, 1 of the members shall be the mayor, but the mayor shall not chair, or shall not act as chair of the board.
Okay, let me put a period there.
The mayor may not serve as chair.
Yes.
Shall is better than may.
Does the
Shall
mayor
not.
serve as chair in any other circumstance?
I mean, not that I'm aware of.
Northampton,
Not here,
yeah, but not here.
Because then you
Cambridge.
could just put it
Can
in
this be
before
a
it's committees
semicolon
section.
situation?
Wait a minute, let me get the
Shall be
language
mayor.
first.
The mayor.
Say your sentence again, Tom, so I
Okay.
can.
1 of the members shall be the mayor, semicolon.
Wait a minute, go slowly. Of the members shall be the mayor.
Right. However,
No, semicolon.
No comment.
semicolon.
Semicolon.
and then
Semicolon, however,
what's the?
No, you cannot
Why
semicolon.
are we having that
however.
English
Right.
debate?
Yeah, we can't do that.
Are you?
So we can use but,
Okay,
right?
English teacher.
No, you cannot. One of the members shall be mayor, semicolon, the mayor shall not serve as chair. Those clauses are
Yeah, that makes sense.
independent,
Independent.
See, I'm bringing my.
But the
English
ideas
book,
are
like
related.
this one, however, is semicolon, however, comma. but-
okay, the semicolon takes the place of the however or the but or the whatever. That's what a semicolon is for.
What, could you say that again? Let me write, I want to write it. The mayor shall not be, semicolon, right?
Yep, the mayor shall not serve.
Hold on, I gotta get the
as
semicolon.
chair.
I have chair of the board. The mayor shall not serve as chair of the board. I'm going to read it back. Policies for the Department of Public Works shall be established by a Board of Public Works which shall consist of 5 members. One of the members shall be the mayor.
Members, 5 members, period.
Period. One of the members shall be the mayor, semicolon. The mayor shall not serve as chair of the board. The city council shall appoint 4 persons appointed for terms of 4 years each, so arranged that the term of one member shall expire each year. The Board of Public Works acting through the mayor, et cetera, nothing changes.
Second.
We're good?
Aren't we cutting acting through the mayor?
Yeah, now.
Oh, yeah, that's
Now we
true.
can talk about that.
The Board of Public Works shall be responsible. We don't need acting through the mayor if the mayor's on the board. Do we agree
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just gonna put a line through that. Shall be responsible for the overall supervision of the department. Okay. I think that's good,
Well, I
right?
think you actually might need that acting through the mayor, because the acting through the mayor gives the board the authority, right? But just because the mayor has a vote on that board doesn't grant the board authority. You know what I'm saying?
I don't agree,
The charter
Chris.
grants
The
board-
charter is granting the Board of Public Works responsibility for the overall supervision of the
So
department.
what is the purpose of acting through the mayor to begin with?
I don't know.
Because previously, because the mayor is the funding officer, maybe that's why they put it there.
Okay.
I can't answer the question. It may not have been necessary to be there to begin with, but Jane,
Could it have been because the mayor is the individual who brings matters to the council, presents to the council?
I don't know.
But does the council supervise the Department of Public Works?
When the Department of Public Works needs a supplemental appropriation, Joe goes to the mayor, asks for it, he agrees, they decide to use enterprise funds or whatever funds, and it goes to the council. I mean, I don't think any of that changes. I don't think acting through the mayor seems redundant if the mayor's on the board. I don't even know why it was there to begin with, myself. You agree, Tom?
I do. So I'll move to.
We already moved.
Okay, so.
Did we want to talk
Change
about
it so much.
All right,
water
so-
commissioners, sewer
You
commissioners,
should
and road
re-
commissioners?
withdraw the motion.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
I'll-
wait, don't do the motion again. The Board of Public Works shall be deemed to be water commissioners, sewer commissioners, and road commissioners. What's wrong with that? Jane, do you think that, Jane, Sarah?
You just mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to know if you wanted to talk about it.
I see no reason to change that.
Okay. I just didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle if anyone.
Because as commissioners, I guess that word defines them as the people that set the rates.
I think that that's all related to
State
state law.
MGL stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay,
So we need to withdraw because this motion, this is now significantly different than.
all right, so we need a new motion to
Did you
accept.
make the motion?
I'll withdraw it.
And I'll withdraw my second. So someone needs to make a new
I'll
motion
make
as
the
amended.
motion to
Mhm.
approve as amended.
Okay,
Is there a second?
Sure.
Sarah?
okay.
Is anyone taking minutes?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. I just didn't listen.
I asked Omar, he said he'd do it. So the only thing we have left is
We got to vote on
establish.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
any further discussion?
There's a motion for,
This
Yeah,
is for
motion
6,
second.
4, 2,
6,
policy
4, 2.
formation. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 6 votes.
for
Now-
one, because I don't like the mayor there.
Okay, so it doesn't.
No. That's true. You don't want the mayor there?
I don't want the mayor anymore.
This is the first you're saying it.
No, he said it before.
I say it before.
So, wow. Why do you? can you
Why
tell us?
not? I don't think she should be in that board.
Should be a 5-member board.
She should be a 5-member board without the mayor.
All right, we'll put this on as old business. I mean, we are missing 2 members.
Okay, but we have, the good thing is we have concise language that the next meeting we can read for the new members and read to the board.
Yeah, I'd like to revote it only because there are 2 members. And I'd like to hear what the mayor has to say.
Yeah.
Is that all right with you, Owen? Okay, so let's withdraw the motion and let's not say, well, we can say it was defeated, but we can reopen it. We okay to reopen it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So policy, is not approved yet. New language for 6.1. Now, it relates to 6.1B, 6.4 establishment scope. Are we okay with this language as it is? We seem to be before.
This language.
So Melissa's language, 6.4.1.
Oh,
Here's a second typo that wasn't addressed. There's 2 ins after administrative code.
Oh yeah, we were trying to figure out a verb in there, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Activities as the city may I don't like time to time, but
Additional powers, duties, and responsibilities with respect to public works related functions and activities as the city may. Yeah, so additional powers is the subject, powers, duties, and responsibilities is the subject. So that needs a verb in there somewhere.
Might I suggest that we ask Melissa to clarify, if we're already gonna be voting on
this
other
is
parts of
directly
6.4.
related to the same thing up here.
Oh, no, I know, I'm just not, I think there's just a word missing. I
Well,
don't,
why don't we just do it? I
we
mean,
can just guess what it is, but I actually don't.
No, I think the purpose of this sentence is to make it clear that additional powers and duties and responsibilities can be adopted through ordinance or administrative code.
Now, this is pretty close to what's in there now. Is the correct wording in
And the
charter now?
performance of such duties, well, look above.
There's another from time to time in the struck language, which probably is tied to the time to time in the new language.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I think it's from time to time be provided by administrative code.
But even that is not a real sentence.
Correct, right.
Well, this isn't the first place in the charter where real sentences haven't been used.
Right, let's fix
let's
that
aim
problem,
for a
not
real
add
sentence.
to
There needs to
it.
be something like between activities as, like I feel like those are almost like 2 different clauses.
If I just read this aloud.
Like additional
Sentences.
powers.
I think be provided by the word be needs to be in there. From
The
time
word
to
be-
die shall be or may be provided by administrative code or by ordinance. May be provided.
I think those additional things have to be added.
Additional powers.
Okay, I think if we strike the words "as the city,"
Yeah.
then it becomes a functional sentence. Because
Alright.
then what it
Real
says.
That's to, like, cover
functions
this
and
up with
activities from time to time provided by, may be provided.
Yes.
May be provided. So we don't need as the city.
Or time to time.
No, we don't need that.
So what it could say is additional powers, duties, and responsibilities with respect to public works related. So this should say public works dash related.
Yes, that should be.
Public works related related functions and activities may be provided by administrative code in accordance with section 6.1B or by ordinance in accordance with section 6.1A.
That's because I
I
don't
would
want to
just put a
eliminate.
comma after administrative code.
I have one,
Or is that too long?
I have 2 ins there, that's wrong.
That's not a common situation.
Let me go back. Where did you want the hyphenation?
Public works related.
Works hyphen related.
Okay, I'll read it again. Additional powers, comma, duties and responsibilities with respect to public works, hyphenated, related functions and activities may be provided by administrative code in accordance with 6.1B or by ordinance in accordance with section 6.1A, which gives the city council the power, which is what I want to maintain. Melissa had thought we would eliminate 6.1A, and I'm not there. So, if we like this, we could vote on this.
And you call it administrative, right? You changed that.
I changed it to administrative code. Okay?
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept section 6-4-1 as just read, as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
We have 6 votes?
yes.
Good. All right, let's go back up to organizations of cities.
Yeah.
I just want to say again, I want to keep the ordinances under city council. I like the fact that we could do our own board, we could amend things that a board brings to us. We have that. I don't want to cut power from, we've never used it much. I don't believe we've used it a lot at all. But that doesn't mean we should, like Joe said, I don't think we should eliminate this because we have to use it. Except for when we created a board.
And then we did it again a little while later with Mayor's request. The
Right.
community relations.
But she can do that.
But
when she does that, it becomes-
administrative code too.
Right. I added this thing about new positions because it's not clear to me. Like the mayor was thinking about a chief of staff. Does that mean you do it through administrative code and you reorganize the mayor's office? That's the way to do it. Maybe we don't need this language that I put in here. If you want a new position added to,
I feel that is administrative code.
so we really don't need it, right?
I don't think so. But
If it's by ordinance, the city council can do it, but the mayor can also write an ordinance and ask us to do it.
sure.
Or why would she?
Yeah, I mean, right. And I think that it's fine that you can do that by administrative code. I've actually been thinking about this section a lot.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Is there any math involved?
Nope, not a little bit of it. I'll spare you any math for the remainder of this meeting. So, what's interesting to me about this is when I was going over this, there's certain things, like I'm not sure the city council should be able to, by ordinance, abolish an agency. We can always just not fund it, but I do wonder like if that's an overstep of legislative power. I talk a lot about wanting to preserve legislative power, but I do wonder if that's something that really kind of does seem.
Well, a city agency is defined like, what if we decided we didn't need this telecommunications committee? We could abolish it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's fine.
But then if you
we
take
wanted
it out
to
of there, then we
abol-
can't
like,
do it.
I mean, but what if we wanted to abolish like a more consequential, like, I mean, right, so that's something that we already made.
We need to worry about city council being totally irresponsible and abolishing the Department of Public Works.
I don't think that we actually, like, right, so I don't care this deeply about this because I don't think you're gonna get 5 votes on the city council, or 6, it's an ordinance, to do something totally ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's
And yet
basically.
Donald Trump is president.
And yeah, right, so, but
Let's not forget.
the one thing is, you know, Melissa was suggesting that she wanted some clarity when they're doing some sort of reorganization about what things need administrative code and what things need ordinance. And since, you know, I think early on in the mayor's term, like after the mayor's election, there were a handful of instances where there was some rather public, like, debate about whether certain choices required city council approval or not. I do think that, like, I respect the intent there, but there's one part about it that makes me kind of nervous, and that's
You're talking about 6-1?
yeah,
A,
6-1A.
I mean ordinance?
Yeah, and 6-1A, because Melissa's proposal essentially just struck 6-1A in its entirety, and there's certain things there that, as you said, no, these are really things that should be done by administrative code. I would be willing to give her, but the one, I don't know how well you guys remember this, but when we had that whole big debate because of the Safe Cities petition came before us, and there was this debate between our solicitor at the time and some outside lawyers about what the city actually has the authority to do by ordinance in terms of like setting a policy that might affect a city agency. When they were making their case that in fact we do have the authority to do something like that, what they brought up was this where they said
They're using 6-1A?
Yes, they said, you know, on the 4th line of that, and prescribe the functions of all such entities. Their argument was that that line, prescribe the functions of all such entities, and I kind of agree with this, gives us
Policy.
the authority
Policy
to,
authority.
yes, that the city council could say, if there was a city agency that was doing something that we thought was unfair or abusive, we could say, that agency shall not engage in that kind of conduct.
So that's another reason not to eliminate this.
Yes. If you're all just feeling like we're not gonna eliminate it, then there's no need to discuss this any further.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know how much,
Well, a lot of things came up, and that's one, but the other thing is, we want to be able to create our own ordinances when we have to help a city agency like the Board of Public Works rewrite something. They could go to the mayor and ask for administrative code, but
Right.
they may find the mayor doesn't agree
yeah.
with whatever they want to change, so they come to the city council.
And in the
That's a
case of
check
the-
and balance.
Right.
That's why I didn't want to eliminate it. I
In the
didn't-
case of the Board of Public Works, it's a little different because they specifically have a carve-out in the charter saying that we can, well, we just voted on that.
Well, that's only because 61A still exists. I put that in
Right.
there because I want it to exist. She wrote that language with
I don't-
61A eliminated.
I don't want to get rid of 61A. Does anyone
No.
else?
All
I
right.
have a question for you though, Tom.
Mhm.
What happens when the city council and the mayor have different opinions on what the function of such entity shall be?
Well, my view on this is
An
that-
ordinance has to be passed with at least 6 votes and overrides the mayor's veto. That's all it is.
Yeah, because
The disagreement can happen with anything in city government.
I'm sorry.
But just, I guess it just seems like you have
Yeah.
two chiefs here.
Yeah,
Two people
well-
telling a department what to do.
Well, I think there needs to be clarity between this and Article 3, and I'm kind of hoping, I actually wrote Mark, our city attorney, because we are dealing with this right now. I'm saying, if you come up with a thought that if he says that this allows us to do it, I was gonna ask, okay, we're allowed to write that new ordinance that Omar and Peg put in. But do we need to change anything in Article 3? Is there conflict there? Because I think that's what you're getting at, is conflict of what, are we telling city employees under the mayor what to do? Or are we serving as policy writers, which this allows?
Yeah,
What are you looking at, 3?
it's in 1 or 2, there's a section where it says, like, that the powers of the city shall come through the city council.
1-3,
Is that where it is?
division of,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Yes.
We had a discussion early on in our discussions about executive and legislative authority.
Oh, yeah, that's not where it says it. Oh, yeah, oh, no, it's 1-3. Yeah, the administration of the fiscal, prudential, and municipal affairs of Easthampton with the government thereof shall be vested. No, that's not where it is, it's somewhere else. There is somewhere in, I'm sorry, guys.
I think we're getting off the
I
point.
had an answer.
I
Yeah,
think
sometimes we
we've
get a
already
breakaway.
established, let's get back to what we're doing, that this 61A should stay. I've eliminated my thoughts on a new position, because that can be done by administrative code, by the mayor, even if it's a single position, because if you're adding a position, Jane, if you're gonna add one position, you can't interpret it as reorganizing a department. Administrative code says you're reorganizing a city agency. So if you add a position to your office, so now you have 3 or 4 members, that can be interpreted as reorganizing.
Correct, but are you considering adding a position to be adding a body, or are you considering it to be adding a job title, a job title?
It has to be a job title.
Right, but if my concern is if you're adding a body, and like using my office, if I want to add a principal clerk already exists. I shouldn't have to go to council to add that because it's not adding a new title. That is kind of under the administrative control of the mayor.
You're talking about
But if you're reorganizing,
The budget.
you're reorganizing an office by increasing the amount of people in it. We have a lot of principal clerks.
Well,
But you're
I
not really reorganizing an office when you add another staff member.
Right.
You're just
increasing,
fulfilling what the needs of the
right, now
office
you
are.
have
To reorganize
Two
would be
people.
something like what Stan talked about earlier, moving building services into DPW. That's a reorganization.
But all right, so the only time it comes into play is if the position doesn't exist. I have to take a pause. This is an important call.
5-minute recess?
Yes,
Still recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we can stop it though for this.
I'll make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, it seems like in Facebook, Easthampton won like every best of the valley.
Yeah.
Best hairdresser, best like.
Video is on. So we were talking about 6-1A, and we've decided not to change it. Administrative Code B was, Melissa had just kept that and not changed the top. So what we were talking about, and Jane explained, if a position exists in the pay plan, such as principal clerk, you can add 5 principal clerks to a, if the budget is there, to any department, because the word principal clerk exists in the pay plan. But if you're adding a whole new position like chief of staff, that has to be done through administrative code. Sorry, Shane, should have waited for you.
Oh, it's okay.
So we're okay with this now? We don't need to change it?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, let's go down. Anybody want to change anything about publication of the administrative code? Do we want to write anything about shall be printed as an integral part? Nah, I don't think we need to change anything. Merit principles.
It's probably a legal thing. Probably my guess.
Does that 6-3 still make sense to you, Jane? We still do this?
So basically, you're not allowed to appoint your cousin who doesn't have any qualifications.
Unless you're Donald Trump.
Hopefully Donald Trump's not the mayor.
I'd rather he be mayor.
Yeah, we'll take
Well, you could be mayor of Northampton, not Easthampton, please.
Fair enough.
I mean, I would make a small note that it says, especially fitted by education, training, and previous work experience. I think there probably should be or previous work experience, because any pieces of that puzzle.
I would say leave in and, but then put, or any combination thereof, or a combination thereof.
Where are we really?
So.
By education, training, and previous work experience, or a combination.
Or a combination thereof.
Or
A combination.
comma, to perform the duties of the office, right? I'll read it again.
I don't think you need a comma.
Don't? Sure? Each person appointed to fill an office or position shall be a person especially fitted by education, training, and previous work experience, or a combination thereof, to perform the duties of the office of the position for which chosen. For which they are chosen? Do we want to?
No, you don't need a comma.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fine.
All right, so that's new language. I'm going to make that.
I'll make a motion to accept section C3 as
6-3.
merit principles amended.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, somebody tell me, thereof, is that one word,
Yes.
T-H-E-R-E-O-S?
Yes, sir.
So we've done 6-4, we still have to decide on policy formation at the next meeting. Let's go to the Department of Personnel. Now, you've all received Jane's requests, which I like, but we should discuss them. Jane, you want to introduce them?
Are there extra copies of that?
I have one here, I don't need it, I have it. Who needs a copy?
I got one.
You need one?
I got it.
Thank you. So, Jane like to change the word to human resources? You want to explain that?
As I mentioned in the first bullet item of my memo, human resources is the term that most companies use now. Even the Mass Municipal Association, the personnel division is, some companies call today on it, as of their annual meeting, it will become Mass Municipal Human Resource Association. It's more encompassing. Personnel makes it sound like the actual person, or human resources is all of the activities surrounding the employees as well as.
Makes sense to me. So you only changed in A, establishment scope. The only thing you did was change from personnel to human resources. Nothing else in there was changed according to what I'm reading here until we get to 6. So what did we change there? In 6, development of succession plan and longevity program?
In 6, I really did not understand what the intent, what the meaning was of career public service program. So I'm assuming it was what we term as longevity.
The current language, everybody, is development of a career public service program. And you like this better. I have no problem with the change, I don't have enough
The
knowledge.
reason I suggested it was because I honestly don't know what a career public service program would entail or what it means for.
And you're the director of personnel.
Longevity program means what do we do for our employees? How do we reward the employees for?
So there is something in place.
Yes.
I like the longevity, it goes to our discussion last time about merit.
Right. And succession planning, I think is critical. I mean, that's one of the things I'm looking at when I interview for the staff in my office right now is I'm not going to be here forever, so who would I want to mentor and train to hopefully be considered for the director's position in the future?
And that could be something that you help other departments.
Absolutely. It is a big, when you go in the HR conferences, there's a lot of talk about succession planning and how is it going to work with municipal rules and regulations and hiring standards.
Makes sense to me.
Sounds responsible.
So number 8 is new, development and maintenance of a centralized personnel record system. That sounds very logical, so why do you think it has to be a charter-based thing?
Because it gives the personnel director, HR director, a little more footing to stand on when discussing centralized files with some of the departments that argue it. But with all of the HIPAA regulations now, with all of the record retention, HR records, personnel records have to be maintained for minimum of 30 years after the person leaves.
So you're alluding to the fact that, like, the school department has their own filing system?
I don't know the filing system for them, but even other departments, I might have the paperwork. All right, let's take police. I might have the paperwork for when they came on, their onboarding paperwork, or sign off on the conflict of interest, any paperwork like that, personnel action forms. But they have their own filing system with discipline and any reviews that they might do or training or anything like that. It's not in my filing system. So if I get a records request, or if someone comes in to see their personnel, an employee comes in to see their own personnel file, what I hand them is not necessarily a full file.
So
Would
this
there-
gives you some ability to, like a little bit of extra, like a mandate to do this.
And then
It's
there's
centralized.
also-
That's the big
And then
thing.
there's also the opposite side of that spectrum where if I did a public records request, I can evaluate it and say, wait a minute, that's not discoverable. That's not public record. I can't release that. Whereas if it goes to the argument of, well, we just send the records request to 2 departments, it doesn't mean that the other department is gonna have the knowledge to say,
What they
well,
should or shouldn't.
I can't disperse that.
So,
And just so everybody knows, personnel files, are exempted from public records law.
Correct. Human Resources is one of the few departments that is confidential, opposite of
So do you think that some departments are not wanting to
Centralized?
centralize to protect employees, but you're actually saying you might be able to protect them more effectively?
I think that it's, well, I think it's also protecting the city.
Well, especially if someone releases records when they shouldn't. And then there's a lawsuit because the employee says, why did that discipline get published?
Because there's even regulations on if an employee comes in and says, I want to see my file, there's certain things that I can pull out just and not have to show them.
Because you know the law. Whereas the other departments, they're not personnel experts.
Do you have a right to access the other department's files? Can they say no to you? You don't think they can say no, or you don't think you have
I
access?
don't think it's.
But it's just inefficient. Someone comes to you and says, I'd like to see my file, you have to call up the police department or whatever department.
Now,
Is-
on another statement on this is, at a past employment, I was told that if, say we have Joe Smith that goes for, files a suit against us, and they ask for the file, and I give them the file, but then when we're getting ready for trial later on, the department comes up with another set of documents. Those documents are not admissible because they weren't part of the central file.
That's pretty convincing to me.
It's efficient, and I think if we're talking about especially confidentiality, we need the person who's supposed to know these laws and rules to be the one to make that decision. Whereas if there's someone from the press comes to the police or some other, the schools and says, can I have this record of this individual? Then that person has to find, whoever they're asking has to ask you. If they're smart, they'd ask you, should I do this? But now, if it's centralized, the press has to come to you for that information. And you can say, well, no, I can't, whatever.
It seems that no departments would have to make any changes except giving you photocopies of their stuff if they wanted to
Correct.
maintain
If they
their
want
own
to
records.
maintain their own, correct.
And then this doesn't necessarily mean that they have to get rid of, there's no language here that says you have to get rid of yours. You can maintain your own.
I just have to have a complete, or the city should have a complete central file.
so if they mean,
Because when an employee leaves, the department doesn't send over their file. So 10 years from now, and that someone wants, I need to do a, find a document in a file, and I go to the archives, I pull out the file, when the next director comes and pulls out the file, that director's gonna assume that was a complete file. And the document they were looking for, put it in the department file.
Dave, did you have something?
well, no, I'm in favor of this in general, but unfortunately, the example I have is, I'm sure in this city it's fine, but I know for a fact, because I know some people in Springfield, the Springfield Police Department, their files and centralized files are not the same by any stretch of the imagination. And so when you mentioned protect the city, that's what kind of perked up my ears. So if there are two different files, which files stand up, are stronger, the centralized?
I would think so, because it's a complete file.
Well, it might not be complete, but it's going to be looked at as complete.
Well, this would also give her the authority to demand complete files,
I tend to think so as well.
I think
which I
that,
think is responsible.
All right.
I think to protect the city is the key here.
Yeah.
Right.
So if
I think
everyone's
so.
on the same page here, I'll move that we just
Whoa,
approve
whoa,
these
whoa,
three
whoa,
changes.
whoa. Let's, is there anything else? Yeah, let's wait on that motion
Oh, the
until we look at
unions.
knowledge and, well, obviously she changed human resources there, but knowledge, experience with unions, knowledge of employee benefits and insurance. That seems obvious, but you wanted it in the charter.
Well, in the way this job is set up, I think it's critical.
But why do we need it in the charter? Why wouldn't it be just assumed?
Well, because you specifically say in there.
Because everything
It's
else
not
is specified.
critical, But I was just looking at, you specifically say civil service law, and to me, unions, I do more union work than I do civil service, because right now, the only civil service we have is fire. Whereas, there's more union.
Yeah, it used to be much more civil service. And if we're gonna say anything about the job, we might as well include this. I have a problem. Anybody have a problem with that?
I think that makes sense.
Well, that's everything, right?
No,
Thank you.
I think in general it's all good because, you know, the world is changing and especially fast with respect to personnel, so I think this is good.
Then I'll take a motion to approve the changes for 6.5.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's it for tonight, guys. The next meeting, we're only having one meeting in May because of the finance meetings. I have 4 big, long meetings.
What date is that? I know you mentioned it, right?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna get to the calendar. May 23rd.
So there's no meeting on the 9th?
No, I have a finance meeting that night.
Actually, there's 3. There's a bunch of things that go off.
All right, so the next meeting will be the 23rd.
My sister's graduation is in the same.
So I have to ask everybody, who's done the minutes twice? Everybody has, right? Everybody has. I think.
Past rough hasn't.
He's done it 3 times. I don't know about Robert, I think he's done them twice. So everybody's done them twice? We start over with Sarah, or what do we do?
I
Sorry.
started. but I
Yeah,
mean,
you-
Well, let's go alphabetically now, I mean, I don't care, but, sorry, Sarah.
It feels like it comes back to me real fast.
A.
One question before
We could skip A and go to B, he's not here. Only Boyle, Bruff. No, that would be Boyle.
One quick question before we adjourn. Have we heard anything about the city solicitor's review of our?
He said he would get it to me by May 1st. I
Okay.
intend to hold him to that.
So we'll be able to schedule a public hearing on May 1st.
If I get it and we have to have changes done and they're significant, then I'll have to bring it to the committee on May 23rd. I'm hoping he thinks it's okay. I just have to, I'll have to discuss it with the city council because it's in the city
Right.
council's lap now.
Right. I'm just wondering if there are changes and they're not enormous, those changes could be made at the council
At
level.
the council level.
to
I would think, we're a city
allow us
council
to
committee.
get this out before, like the.
I
before
want it to the
becomes too
city
late.
legislature, the legislature in June.
Right.
It would be nice to schedule the public hearing for
May 15th.
May 15th, but it may be that we're gonna have to have it in June, and I'm expecting a second meeting in June if we have to wait. Unless you wanna do all the budget and this big public hearing on ranked choice. I don't know how big it'll be, but that's a long meeting.
Yeah.
Should make sure Dan's aware that it's coming, so he can be ready. to-
Yeah, I talked to him the other day.
Well, we have to approve it, we have to approve it, and the mayor has to
Just so
approve
that
it
he knows.
before it goes
Yeah.
there. I can set a public hearing, I can call him, I guess I would do that. I'll call Mark and say, hey, can I have your opinion? Should I set a public hearing for May 15th? That would be better than,
Right.
Well, that helps spur him along.
Yeah.
well, he said May 1st.
Yeah.
I gotta hold him to it.
Right.
All right. And if we have that public hearing, I would hope that the citizen members would come to the city council. If city councilors, express
What
your
time
hope
would that
that.
be? 6 o'clock?
I'm gonna try and make it May 15th, but I have to.
6:00?
Yeah, it's 6:15 usually, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Put it on
Are you
my-
going there?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Motion to adjourn, aye.
Congratulations.
Uh,